Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UBports Foundation's show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 101, streamed live on June 5th, 2021. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week is Alfred.
Oh, hello.
Alfred, thank you for joining me.
Of course.
No Florian, unfortunately. He announced that he's taken a little hiatus from this in 100 in case you missed it, but we do miss him. If you like what we're talking about here, this whole Ubuntu Touch thing, and you want to try it out on your device, you can check if it's supported at devices.ubuntu-touch.io. If your device is not on the list, it's going to need a custom image made for it. You can go to the porting documentation at docs.ubports.com/porting to learn more. We have a great roundup of news and questions to get to this week, like a huge roundup. We may not get to all of these questions, but we're going to try our hardest. By the way, if you haven't seen a love letter from our community to our community here on our YouTube channel, you need to check it out because it's an amazing video that we did with many different community members. It was a lot of work. We're really proud of it. You should check it out. And again, thank you to NerdZoom for the editing on that content. All right, let's talk some news. It's been, we skipped the last Q&A and here we are today. So we've got a roundup of a month's news. So there's stuff that we've missed in here. But we're going to try our hardest to get over all of it. If there's anything that we don't mention that you still want mentioned, you should PM me on Telegram. That's the easiest way. Or slap it in the comments while we're live. So, on the focal side of things, Ubuntu Touch based on 2004 is coming along swimmingly. A few new things got into the archive this week, including RepowerD. That's the thing that handles power button presses and waking your device up to get push notifications every few minutes. The tone generator. It does exactly what it sounds like. It makes tones. Autopilot and Autopilot Qt, which are both really cool projects that I don't think get enough love, especially from us. What they are at their base is a testing framework that allows you to use things like accessibility data to run your application automatically. It's kind of like Selenium in the browser, but for Qt and GTK, but I don't think that part is maintained anymore. Rachanan got all of Lomiri's tests passing, so that can be built successfully and will come into the archive soon. And properly integrated Lomiri system compositor, that's a thing that runs the spinner and handles, or it would handle switching sessions and being able to disconnect and reconnect sessions. That integrates properly with Lomiri. And all of that brings us very close to the first pre-built Ubuntu Touch system images based on Ubuntu 2004 that boot graphically. As soon as we have an image builder that's able to build them. I don't know if that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. It'd be cool if it did. But if there's any other dependencies that we missed, they'll come up at that time. We won't be building them in a way that you can just like switch channels to them yet, because you would get there and you would be stuck there and you couldn't run any applications. So, but this is a huge milestone, being able to get a graphical desktop based on Ubuntu 2004 on Hybris devices entirely from our code. That is, that's a big step. I'm excited to see it. But that's all future talk. I think that, Alfred, we have some talk in the present of some new devices.
Exactly. So over the last few weeks, the UBports installer gained a lot of new devices, actually, 6 to be exact. And the first one is by Ari. It's the LG G4. It would be awesome if people would actually, test it and let us know of any issues that might come up during the installation process. But yeah, it's in there and you can try it out. The next one is the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL by Florian. The third one is Pixel 3a XL. That is done by me. The OnePlus 5/5T by Vince. Another OnePlus device by Vince. I don't know how many devices he must have on his table. All of them. There's Xiaomi Poco F1 by Joel, and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 by Nikita. So 6 new devices in the installer, and I believe the number is going to grow very quickly because, just thinking of it, with Halium 7, it took some time until we got some devices in there, and this thing is going strong and very quickly right now.
And most of these are Halium 9, yes.
Exactly.
Oof. That's like, I have to get those in the system image server. Just a little moment of panic. But yeah, this is very exciting.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
By the way, porters, I know you listened to this. There is a survey that Ari has made on Halium 9 porting to learn more about the process and where he should spend his time documenting it. If you haven't answered that survey yet, what are you doing? I know you're in the UBports porting channel. Contact Ari, REBK, get him to send you the link to the survey. I think it might be pinned actually too. So we need you to answer that survey. We need to know what needs to be better in the porting documentation. So get on that, Halium 9 porters. I know you're out there.
You can do it.
You can do it. It'll help us out a lot. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So that's devices news. We've also got a lot of updates to Ubuntu Touch in the one that we release based on Ubuntu 16.04. I don't know what came over me. This week, I was going to review some PRs and review some PRs and review some PRs, and that was basically it. And then my brain was like, nah, I'm going to write my own code and make more problems in the world. So I looked at Lomiri, and I thought, that's a lot of memory. I don't think it needs to be using that much memory. And indeed, it didn't. So practically for free, I made it use 30 megabytes less memory on all devices, basically regardless of any situation that they're in. So that was free. That's already merged in the Devil channel, possibly in RC. But yeah, you've got a little more memory now. And then I couldn't stop. I could not stop there. So then I made everything load faster as it pertains to wallpapers. So the shell doesn't freeze anymore when you switch wallpapers or when it first loads. And I saved another 60 megabytes of memory that way. I don't know why I did this, but I'm glad that I did, and I think that other people will be too. So the second part of that is in a PR now. We'll get it released, hopefully, maybe next week. I don't know. It's not entirely fair because it's newer than a lot of the PRs that I'm putting off reviewing, but yeah. Media Hub, the thing that sends sound. It does all the notification sounds and plays videos back for you so they run in the background. Same with audio. Handles playlists. All that stuff was rewritten to use Qt instead of Boost and a custom event loop. It was about 20,000 lines of code changed. And that's in this week. So, if you are a user of Ubuntu Touch, Devil now, RC on Wednesday after this is released, check out any app that you have that plays media, except a browser. So like Music app, Animal Farm, the media player. Just use Ubuntu Touch like you usually do. Let us know if you find anything weird as it pertains to playing back audio, because this was a pretty big change. We tested it a lot, but something still could have slipped through. We need your help to look at that. Saved 3 megabytes of memory, Made the whole thing a little faster. Way easier to maintain and add features to in the future. Thank you, Marty.
Definitely. Praise Marty.
Praise Marty. Jeez, this was another thing. Okay, so actually, I lied about that whole memory thing. There was another thing that I did this week. I made the image for the VM. It was broken, and I had some work to make an Efi Image Builder. So it builds images that run on 64-bit Intel platforms. And before they only did legacy boot, now they do EFI boot. So I made that image. I DD'd it to this tablet. This is a Surface Go. I DD'd the image to this thing. So it's not installable unless you really want to. And just started using it for stuff that I could find its use for. I found a lot of bugs because this is the Wayland version of everything. It's not running on Mir client. And one of those was some weird things in the drawer. Like on tablets, if you dragged out the drawer and just kept going, it was harder to drag it back later. And just other things that are like, why? Why is it like that? Those are fixed now too. I don't know why, but I did it.
Well done, Dalton.
Hooray. If you've ever tried to turn on your Ubuntu Touch device and then turn it off immediately, that's been fixed now. Before you would hold down the power button and nothing would happen. That's fixed now. Fixes to messaging app. So if you had a regression in messaging app, that's fixed now. So that's some of the big things that have happened in Xennial this week that you can look forward to. Well, this past month that you can look forward to in OTA 18. We get a lot of people who ask us, how can I help with Ubuntu Touch? How can I contribute back? Because I use it, I like it, I want to help out. Here's a few things you can do. First off, if you're a porter, again, answer our survey. Please. You're in the UBports porting group. You can do it. I know you can. We have 2 PRs that fix things in online accounts. If you're a PinePhone user, wait for the alarm bells to go off in everyone's head, you can install one of these PRs, which should fix using online accounts on the PinePhone. It fixes you being able to sign into them. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. So now's your chance to test it out and make sure it works before we merge it. Link to that is going to be in the video description after we're done. I'm about to throw it into live chat. Are you ready? That's the correct one. Boom. All right, there it is. It's PR number 17. There's one more. If you want to sign into your Google account, this is, I know a lot of people have asked for that. Marty has also submitted a patch that should fix that. Again, test it out. I've added instructions for how to test it out. You need to be on Devil. Don't install it on RC, because using UBports QI on RC is a waste of time. Okay, not really, but it's not guaranteed to be exactly what it's meant to be. Anyway, this patch fixes Google account sign-in. It should. It depends on whether Google has started blocking Morph Browser now too, but give that a try. It's PR number 16. I put it in live chat. It'll be in the video description. This is your chance to help out. If you are really excited about helping Ubuntu Touch, there are 5 PRs in that altogether fix a majority of the issues that there are with MMS. You know, now that I think about it, that is probably why I started writing QML this week, because I looked at those 5. They're pretty... One of them is a pretty big PR. It's Go. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be really hard. So instead of reviewing it, I did something completely different. But I'll get back to it this week. But if you're really excited to test out MMS, Lionel, if you're listening, could you write up like how you got it installed on your device, and then other people can do it too? Lionel D, not Lionel B. Because I know that he said that he had it installed on his device. That would be really helpful. But there's 5 PRs. I can't link them all in live chat. YouTube will ban me. Okay. That's how you can help. Or, to be fair, not everyone has the programming chops, doesn't want to test stuff out. Another way that you can help us out, I just saw Form a Cult over in Telegram. What's going on over there? If you want to help us out in a way that is not forming a cult, you can join us as a donor and throw a couple bucks our way. So I'd like to thank our sponsors who help us make Ubuntu Touch possible, including Smooze, Vala, and Private Internet Access. You're making it possible for us to create Ubuntu Touch. And I'd also like to thank our community sponsors, including, in order of me bad pronouncing them, Travis Mackmer, Amolith, Raskadnaris, Incensfell, Dan Trevino, Daniel Frenzek, Robin Hood, Laszlo Tomas, Ian Lack, Max Fielder, A. Thiel, Casey Lambie, George Toma, Renaud Mirkalave, Will Atwood, and Scott Marley. If you'd like to join them, we have PayPal directly, Patreon, not directly. There's a little bit more of a fee out of that one. LiberaPay, also low fee. Or you can donate us directly via your bank account in the EU via direct IBAN transaction. Information to do all of that is over at ubports.com/donate. We would really appreciate your help. I say this every time, but it's a huge help to making Ubuntu Touch possible. So thank you to everyone who has donated. Thank you to everyone who will after hearing this message. And even if you have never donated, if you're a contributor to Ubuntu Touch, you're in our Telegram groups, you're helping people out, that is just as much of a contribution. Thank you. This is a huge roundup of questions this week, so we might not get to all of them, but we're certainly going to try. We take these questions from our forum over at forums.ubports.com. You can get your question in there. We throw a link to the live stream after it's created over there about Monday before we actually do the show. So you can get your questions in pretty early. Alfred, let's start this off.
Okay. The B? Is that correct? Okay. Asks a few questions. The first one is, I have seen that NFC is working with Android 9-based devices. Do you plan to open NFC with older Android-based devices, like 4.2? Is it in the pipeline? Regarding that, it's very hard to do, especially because Android 9 gives us a very great abstraction around NFC, which Yola have already implemented on their end, which we are just pulling into the archive and making use of. There is a possibility to make it work with, for example, the Xperia X, because that one has a specific kernel plugin, which does not work right now. At least it did not when I tried it last time, like 3 months ago or something like that. It was a pain to set up, and depending on your device, it might work, but it certainly did not on the Xperia X. But I mean, it's worth a shot, at least for someone who wants to invest the time into NFC-capable plugin for NFCD for older devices. That's certainly a possibility, but I don't think anyone around here is actually putting it on his to-do list right now. But yeah, I mean, there are ways to make it work. It's just not there yet.
And it's
the second
really hard.
It is hard, right? The second question is, will Ubuntu 20.04 updates smoothly run with old UT devices, or do users need to think about a new cell phone? Well,
okay. So I think I know, Thebe is running a Nexus 4. That one, you might want to think about a new device anyway. The Nexus 4 is 3G only.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably run, but you're running out of time, and we know that we're running out of time too, before 4G takes over everything and 5G becomes the next big thing. and we dropped 3G. So it might be time to think about a new phone anyway if you're running the Nexus 4. Some devices, like the Nexus 5, might be all right. We're just not sure yet, really. Until we have images out and running and we know we can enumerate what the bugs are with those older devices, we don't know.
Yeah.
But
it all comes back to systemd and components that are very low level in the stack and require newer kernel features, basically. And the older devices just have older kernels, and it's certainly possible to make it work, but it's a hard task, and sometimes, in some cases at least, not worth the effort. So
right.
Yeah.
We'll see. We still don't know yet, but we will see. Right. Yeah. We should know sooner rather than later, but not like super soon. I'm using weasel words because I don't know. But yeah, if you're using like the Nexus 4, the BQE 4.5, maybe it's time. I mean, you've had your phone for what, 5, 6, 7 years. Maybe it's time to consider. Maybe you deserve an upgrade. At the risk of sounding consumerist. All right. What's the next one?
So the third question is the Android debug menu that you can get through the dial pad does not exist on UT. Is it relevant for normal users to implement something similar with infos about battery, CPU, sensors, and etc. status?
So it depends on what the what the debug menus are used for in Android. If they're used for factory testing debug stuff, then they're there not because you need them, but because the developers in factory needed them.
Right.
The fact that you can use them is a side effect of that. Yes, more information available for the user, whether it's hidden or not. Usually shouldn't be hidden, but would be helpful. You're asking kind of a broad question. Stuff like, how well is what's my signal like in decibels? Stuff like that. You can get it through the terminal. Graphically? No? Could something be made to do that? Yeah. If there's a need for it, it could be done. It's not something I'm really planning on right now, and I don't think anyone else is, but it could be done. I'm just gonna call this person A. I'm so happy with your work that I actually bought Ubuntu Touch phones for everyone in my small company. And we're an example that it adapts fine to corporate needs. Well, thank you. In my point of view, there's one barrier that prevents me from recommending Ubuntu Touch to my friends. Morph browser doesn't have a password manager. How difficult is it to build a password manager? And are there any plans for it? I looked it up. There is actually a document on the Qt Wiki, which they actually say in it, this might be out of date, but it is Qt Web Engine use cases. And it lists all of the ways that the Qt company expects people to use Qt Web Engine and what it's missing for those cases. One of those things for a web browser is autofill and a password manager. I'm not sure. If there is a web browser that uses Qt Web Engine and has these features, we might be able to steal their implementation and make a password manager in our own browser. If there's not, it'll probably slow down the browser, unfortunately. But no, it's not really like in the pipeline right now. It's lacking upstream support. And yep, that's the problem. So watch this space I propose. It looks like the Qt company is aware of this problem. And I'm sure if someone were to develop it in the C++ part of Qt Web Engine, because it's totally possible there, Chromium allows you to learn a lot of things about the page the browser is currently displaying. So it's almost definitely possible in the C++ portion of Qt Web Engine. And luckily, that part is GPL software. So if you contribute there, it's not like the Qt company is going to stop releasing that stuff because of LTS. Their LTS changes, but yeah. If we could get a password manager into Qt Web Engine upstream, that would be best. I don't know if it's possible in the QML portion of Morph browser. And if it is, what the performance implications would be. So yes, I agree that is something that's needed. It may not be feasible at our team size, our community size, and the things that people want to do right now, though. But yes, a very interesting feature. Thank you for your question.
Definitely. Okay, Gizmo Chicken asks, the Potabi devs are planned to start porting Lomiri to Potabi in August of 2021. Heard of them? Working with them?
I looked up Potabi. It's FreeBSD for phones. The developer of Potabi is in our Unity 8, Lomiri chat to talk about these things with us. So yeah, if they are working on it, they can get in contact with us and maybe we can help them out. Otherwise, yeah, sounds cool. Timeline seems a little aggressive. If I set timelines like that, I would completely bury myself and probably never be able to do anything. But different things work for different people. So more power to them. All right. Up next, Alfred.
Jan Ops79 asks, what is or will be the actual life cycle of supported devices of UT? I mean, support-wise. For example, Android is an average of 2 to 3 years. iOS is average of 3 to 4 years. Just asking this because it is interesting. Now supported mobiles range from 10 years to more recent models. Also, with the will the bounty hunter-like plans of Alfred come to life this year?
I don't know what they're talking about there, but you can think about it while I answer the first question.
Perfect.
Okay, so the life cycle of Ubuntu Touch devices is a solid it depends. Yeah. This is interesting. I wonder if we need to start making things like that clear when we release devices with partners, or if that's a reasonable expectation to put on partners. But for devices that are released running Ubuntu Touch, each one is a little different. The Pine phone is our software. The Vala phone is both our software and support from Vala. So there's a combination there. How long will these things be supported? If people keep working on them until the hardware all dies and no one can anymore. But if people stop working on them and lose interest, it's not that long. If Vala gets bored and loses interest in the first phone, that'll cause some problems for future maintenance of Ubuntu Touch as well. But if someone in the community continues supporting it after that event happens, which we don't know if or when it'll happen, support would continue. That's a weird thing. It's kind of like Lineage. It's more like Lineage. You ask them, well, how long is the Nexus 5X going to be supported by Lineage? Bad example because it's already unsupported, I think. But they say, until it breaks. And for most of the community devices, the ones that aren't released by an official partnership with UBports, that's the case. It's like until it breaks or the porter gets bored and leaves. Basically. If Alfred got bored and left tomorrow, we probably couldn't maintain the Xperia X or the Pixel 3a anymore.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if someone is willing to step up and continue maintaining the device, then that is certainly very helpful and something that I would look forward to in any case, basically.
Yep. So that is interesting. We haven't made a commitment to support for something yet. We just aren't at that point in the project. But, you got me thinking with this question for sure. How can that improve in the future? Should it improve in the future? Well, yes, but how? How do we do that? That kind of thing. So thanks for the question. Alfred, what about your bounty hunter plans?
The bounty
hunter
what he's
talking
plans. I think so, yeah. There was
Okay.
this one thread on the UBports forums where we were basically thinking about collecting money for a bug bounty regarding calls and SMS functionality on the Pixel 3a and probably similar Helium 9 devices on US carriers. There were a few people who were interested in making this work. We did not collect any money as of yet, but it is certainly something that we could look into, especially if someone just popped out of nowhere and basically said, yes, I'm willing to do it, then for sure it would accelerate the rate of collecting donations and stuff like that for specifically that purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, little background from UBports Foundation side. This has been something that has been mulled over and over again within the project. So, yeah. I think it's pretty well understood that we want to do something like this if we can figure out the tax implications and how we can pay people. Otherwise, until then, it just kind of needs to be a people doing it ad hoc with their own PayPal accounts kind of thing. So that may work. And before anyone asks, yes, we know of Bounty Source. We have tried to claim our project on Bounty Source 5 times. They have never responded. So probably not a good option. Just so you know, if you're putting in stuff on Bounty Source under UBports, we don't own that project. So just be aware of that.
Right.
But yeah, I think that ad hoc will work for now. I have told Alfred that if he fixes text messages and calls on the Pixel 3a, A, I'm going to carry it every day. B, I'm going to pay him money for it. I've told you this. Don't act like you're surprised.
Okay.
So, yeah. That ad hoc thing kind of works. It's been done before, too, for sure. With people saying, if someone writes an app for, I think it was Spotify, I'm going to throw money at you. And someone wrote an app for Spotify, and I think that transaction happened. Yeah, that's always the risk of the ad hoc thing, too. You don't know if it's actually going to happen or not.
Right.
That's the risk you take. So, it's really interesting. I still think open source bounty programs are neat. It's just that no one has quite cracked it yet. Okay. What's next?
Aurelio asks, making Ubuntu Touch apps compatible/usable in other distros is a way to make the development of Ubuntu Touch apps more appealing to developers, like wider use base. How is the work on the Ubuntu Touch Flatpak runtime going on? What help is needed? Is the description you said some apps already work fine? What are these apps? Okay.
So I had to look this up because I had forgotten about this, which is probably a good indication of how well maintained it is right now. Yes, this is something that a few people originally from the KDE community, we met them at the development sprint last year, said, hey, your apps can run as a Flatpak, you know? We said, how? They said, we'll show you if you give us CI. So that's what that project is. I don't remember if Marius announced it on this show or not. But that's what that project is. There are pull requests into it to fix bugs, which I didn't see. Really what I should do, Tobias, Nico, if you're watching, just let me know and I can give you right access to that project because you're going to be a better maintainer than I am. What it does is it builds a bunch of Ubuntu Touch applications into a Flatpak repository. And it does it in like the FreeBSD ports tree way of building all of them at once. And then splitting them out into packages, at least from what I see of it. It sounds interesting. It's one of those things that's like, boy, if someone else does that, it's going to be really cool. Right now, it's failing in CI because of an operation not permitted. So I don't know if it'll work or not. or what it needs. So, yeah, if someone can fix that, we'll be on our way. If not, unfortunately, it's going to be stuck. But yeah, that's the situation there. Is I looked it up. That's what's going on. One of you people who has a PR open right now, I trust you. Let me know if you want to maintain that. Or if you don't, I totally understand. Y'all are busy. We're busy too. Totally get it. Water on the bridge. Aurelia also said, unfortunately, I missed the 100th Q&A because I was at my grandmother's funeral. But I wish you all a happy 100th Q&A now. Our condolences to you, Aurelia, and your family.
Okay, next question. Total Rando asks, is there a roadmap for technical newcomers to Ubuntu Touch who have some familiarity with Linux to help with low-level fixes, etc.? If there was a way for volunteers to help that was obvious, I'm sure people would join on.
I love helping people with this, honestly. Did you know I'm actually going to be a mentor starting in a couple weeks, and I'm really excited and really scared. And
look at how happy he looks, though.
Well, it's like an official program for a student, and I'm excited. I'm scared. It's going to be a lot of time taken up, but yeah. Geez. So for people who for the mythical contributor who already knows about Linux, doesn't know what they want to do, and is coming into Ubuntu Touch. I've had like 3 people message me about this in the past, in the 4 years that I've done this. But every time I tell them, "Are you an Ubuntu Touch user?" Okay, I ask them. They say yes. I say, "What annoys you about Ubuntu Touch?" They list off a list of 5 things. I say, "All right, this one sounds easiest. Let's help you fix that." Really, if you are a volunteer contributor to any open source project, if something annoys you about that project, that's where you should contribute. And it's not there are so many varied projects, even within Ubuntu Touch. I mean, 400 repositories don't lie. I can't give a blanket statement answer for, oh, you should do this to make any fix to Ubuntu Touch, because that doesn't exist. You want to fix a core app? Well, you got to download Clickable. You want to fix something that's like built into the system? Well, that's going to be a little more complicated, but I can help you out with it. Or anyone in the community can. It's not just me. That's kind of where I go. If it's like a fix in QML files, you can actually edit those on your device and reboot and see if you broke everything. If you're willing to break it and know how to revert all of that by installing with the installer again, I wouldn't recommend you do that just to like hack on things. But if you know how to get back, you're fine. If you break, you get to keep the pieces. But yeah, it's different for every project. It's different for every kind of bug that you want to fix. I have, in the past, created good first issues on some of our repositories, especially near Hacktoberfest time. It's one of the things I like to do. And I give like a whole blog post of hints in those kinds of things. But that takes a lot of time, unfortunately. So the best way to get started is to say, boy, this annoys me, and ask how you might be able to fix it. That's my blanket statement, because I can't give a blanket statement. We have documentation for how to develop Ubuntu Touch apps and stuff, but yeah. Okay, you can go now.
Okay, WBPKM asks, is there any progress about GPU and WebGL for the Volophone or other smartphones, or is work on hold?
Actually, there was some movement on this in the last week. The problem was that when we merged the thing that made that work, it completely broke the Nexus 4. But we don't know if that would happen whether or not GPU was enabled on the Nexus 4. So we're not sure yet. Needs more testing, basically. It's not completely on hold. I mean, most of the time, things that are in a volunteer community aren't ever completely on hold. They just aren't being worked on at the time. there is a difference between those two things.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Nikita has been on my case about this because of the Volophone specifically. So it's not like we have a complete blind spot here. But yeah, it's interesting. It broke some things. Hopefully we can fix them, get it merged.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you this one, Alfred. Come on.
Okay.
Tim Harless asks in live chat. Actually, before we were even live, very
quick,
that one. When do you think a fully functional Linux phone will come to fruition?
Well, it depends on your use case.
Yeah, I think it has.
It has. I mean, for me personally, I can only speak for myself right now, but I'm using, or I have been using Ubuntu Touch for 2 years straight now. First on the Xperia X, now on the Pixel 3a, and it works perfectly fine for my use case. Granted, there are some proprietary applications that I need from time to time, but I have other devices for that. But as a phone, a fully functional GNU/Linux phone, Ubuntu Touch is there for some people, and it is there for me. And yeah.
Me too. I carry only the Xperia X basically all the time. If I'm traveling internationally, I will carry an Android phone because there's an app that lets you get through US customs faster. But that's about it, really. Like, Ubuntu Touch works for me. It's not fully functional, but I'm not going to let you pretend that an Android phone is fully functional either. Everything has bugs. Everything has hardware that doesn't work correctly, or hardware that doesn't work correctly for you. So
yeah.
My recommendation, Tim, is try it out and see if it functions for you. If not, maybe we can look at how it can. Okay. What was this next one?
Should I take it?
Yeah.
Any plans to partner with phone hardware companies to create a UBports phone?
Have you heard of the Volophone?
Right.
And we also have this wonderful I need to talk into the microphone. We also have this wonderful specimen that sits behind me all the time. Oh, I don't have autofocus on. The Pine 64 Pine phone came out with Ubuntu Touch pre-installed for 1 generation. And yeah, that was our first time doing hardware with someone. The Pine phone still isn't perfect, I admit. It always was going to be a developer device, at least for a while. And yes, I know I need to work on that, but it's like, I'm being pulled in so many different directions, you know?
We can forgive you, Dalton. Don't worry.
There's some cool stuff happening. Like I said, online accounts, there's a PR in to fix online accounts on the thing. I know a lot of people have been asking for that, so it's getting somewhere. But I think we have partnered with phone hardware companies to create a UBports phone. Thank you for your question. This next question was, what seems to be the biggest issue with apps as in getting developers to create them in a Linux mobile version? What do you think, Mr. App Developer?
Well, that's a good question. The thing is that most people who come from other platforms like Android and iOS, they expect a perfectly integrated way of creating applications, debugging them, sharing them with people, putting them in stores and stuff like that. Something like that would be helpful for sure. But if you're fine with setting up VS Code with certain plugins that allow you to basically create applications from within VS Code, then that's certainly also a solution that could work for you. It's not as, just click one single button and you're done. But on the other hand, even with the competitors, quote unquote, the integration is not always as good as it could be. And so we are not missing out on a lot of things. It would certainly be helpful, but on the other hand, it's not as bad as it could be. Clickable is fine. Clickable is doing a lot of things. It allows you to create projects, build them, deploy them, even open up an IDE to debug on the computer and running it on the computer itself before deploying it. So we have a very capable development experience already. It's just hidden behind a few commands that you would have to learn. It's not, clicky things and things pop up. But if you're fine with the command line utilities that we have, then just go ahead and try to make your first Ubuntu Touch application. It's pretty simple nowadays, actually.
Mm-hmm. And Clickable can publish. So it's like,
exactly.
It is a one-stop shop for everything but editing and documentation. And it's always getting better. Yeah, I think app development documentation, a nicer IDE, or at least something that does... Wait, to be fair, you can do clickable IDE Qt Creator, and it runs Qt Creator, and then you have everything you just asked for, Alfred.
Basically, yeah.
Right. It's not as simple as it could be.
Yeah.
But it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we like it.
Yeah. Good online documentation of the SDK would be good, though.
Yeah. Okay, last question from Tim. Does Canonical contribute to the project at all? What outside companies or communities contribute to the project?
Well, when Pine64 and Vala created devices which run Ubuntu Touch, they also helped us work on Ubuntu Touch. Pine64 primarily monetarily and with moral support. We love you, Lucas. And Vala also by hiring developers to work on it. So Vala, for some time, maintained Ubuntu Touch with us and continues to help us maintain it to this day. I don't remember if they still have the job posting up, but they were looking for someone to work on Ubuntu Touch. So if you're in Germany, that might be a very, very good opportunity for you. I don't remember if that was filled yet. I haven't been told, but yeah. So if you're looking for a job there, that might be a good place for you. That's how companies contribute to Ubuntu Touch, is by doing things like hiring people to work on Ubuntu Touch. Basically, what we were trying to make with the UBports Foundation is this central entity that can hold Ubuntu Touch and make sure that it's stewarded, that allows companies and contributors to join in on the fun. Because for every new company that joins in and contributes in to Ubuntu Touch, all of the companies get it out. So we kind of act as a force multiplier for the whole thing. And it's pretty cool, if you ask me. As for Canonical, we have some employees of Canonical who, not in their paid time, still work on Ubuntu Touch just because they like it. We have support from the Mir team. They help us out a lot, some in their free time, but also by continuing to create Mir, considering us in its development process. We have the ability to use the Ubuntu trademark in limited capacities, and we have the ability to use Ubuntu. Like, that's a lot of security fixes and updates that we get for free, assuming we're using a supported version of Ubuntu and not 16.04. That's why we're upgrading to Ubuntu 20.04. So yeah, Canonical contributes both directly, indirectly, and in ways that they can't stop because of the way they license their software. Excellent questions today. So yes, Thank you, everyone. All right. Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here, Alfred?
Other than if you're interested in my Twitter ramblings, maybe you can follow me on Twitter. That is fredl.me, FREDLDOTME. I'm currently posting, not only stupid things, but sometimes I do. But I'm also mentioning my projects here and there, progress about them, progress about Ubuntu Touch, things where I'm going personally. And if you're interested in getting in contact with me, then just go ahead. Where can people find you, Dalton?
At Universal Superbox on Telegram is the easiest place. I'm guaranteed to see it there. Yeah, just do that. Tell me what you want in the first message. Don't say hi and then wait 20 minutes. I might think you're a spammer. But that's easiest. Gee, if you like what we were talking about here and you want to learn more about Ubuntu Touch, maybe you should start by installing it on your phone. Go to devices.ubuntu-touch.io to see if your device is supported. If it's not on the list, unfortunately, it's going to need a custom image made for it. You can find out how to do that at docs.ubports.com/porting. Go there. Maybe you'll make the next big daily driver device for a bunch of people. Hey, Alfred did it. You can do it too.
I'm hoping someone is stepping up.
Amy, don't be like this. You can find us all over the place on social media, including Facebook, Twitter. Amy, don't screw over with us on Twitter. FixelFed, Mastodon, LinkedIn, Instagram. We also have news channels on Telegram and Matrix if you want to get our news directly into your chat client. Links for all those are in the description. Or hey, maybe you want to chat with us. You think we sound pretty cool. You can find us on Matrix or Telegram, #UBports, and at UBports respectively. Or on our forum at forums.ubports.com, a great place for longer form content. That'll do it for today. I saw a lot of questions going on in live chat. Get a hold of us via one of our chat platforms if you have more questions. It's a great place. We're really friendly, I promise. Thank you everyone so much for joining us for this Q&A, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.